Hey everyone, welcome back to Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and I'm continuing with another episode of the Exposed Investigate series covering Nolan Wells. Now, as these cases that are open typically do, information comes out really fast. And no sooner did I drop, I guess you could call it episode 1 of this series just a couple of days ago, my email became absolutely full of, well, what about this? What about that? More information coming out that was not available when I was recording the first episode. So I want to address that in some things, some updated information that has came out today. And today being Wednesday, so you're going to hear this tomorrow, which is Thursday. Now, I told you at the beginning when I started this one, I was going to give you a whole different perspective than what was out there. The narrative of this whole thing, in my opinion, at that time was a racially motivated narrative, a race card. And I covered the many reasons that I believed personally it had nothing to do with race, especially as it related to those young people that were friends with Nolan that had been thrust into this and called every name in the book, including a racist, which I think is ridiculous because you don't fish with somebody, you don't hang out with somebody, you don't chase girls with somebody if you don't like the color of their skin. Well, everything you're going to hear about today is new information that was received since that episode dropped just a couple of days ago. So let's get into it. And probably one of the biggest pieces of information that has come out just in the last day is the company that provided the towing service for these boats that have issues on the water. I touched on this in episode 1, but they did receive a phone call from Nolan's friend who was on the boat with several other people because they thought that boat was going to sink. And I'm going to play that for you. And I want you to listen to the entire thing because that has been released as of yesterday. And it's very important that you listen to the entire thing. It's only like 8 minutes long, something like that. And I want you to think of it like a 911 call. A lot of people don't know this, but when you call 911, they know the phone call is being recorded when 911 picks up. But what a lot of people don't realize is about the first 8 seconds or so before that person on 911 picks up, you can hear in the background what's going on with the person that is placing the call. And you're going to hear that in this 911-ish call. Now, at the beginning of this clip, you're going to hear some background music because it's like when you call a hotel, for example, and they transfer you to a room and there's like that elevator music that you hear while you're waiting to be transferred to someone's room. That's the music you're going to hear at the beginning of the clip. It ain't nothing Jim Chapman added. You're also going to hear the guy that initially places this call talking about a membership with this tow company for boats. And I want you to think of that like a AAA membership that you were, say you were getting your car towed and you were a member of AAA and you call AAA and you tell them you're broke down or something. This company caters towards its members. It's kind of like a AAA for boats. So here it is. I'm going to play that clip and then we're going to talk about it because it is at the center of yet more information, or misinformation, I should say, that is coming out and getting out in the public, and they don't know the other side of it.
To connect you.
CTO Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either I think it's try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't
All
have the
right.
tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees by 4672.
All right. 4672. All right. And you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. Looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right. Have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right. Where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right. How many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question.
Hey, Worthless. Drop it off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Try to jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
What's up? There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right. Verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicki from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under...
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And he said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So
Right.
I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand.
Oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under fee for service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to, if you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can
swamped.
try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on this phone number?
All right. Yep. He's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm going to send you over an accurate one under this one, okay? He's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes, okay?
Okay, perfect. All right. And, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transfer him now. Thank you again, Captain.
All righty.
Stay safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Now, before we break that down, you just got to kind of laugh at the response when she was trying to get out of this kid, how many people were on the boat. And, obviously, all these kids have been drinking. And you could kind of tell the caller was struggling a little bit with understanding what she was asking him. She basically said, is there anybody breathing on the boat? And she was trying to get the number of people that are actually on the boat out of him. And he just couldn't articulate that very well. And she had to actually tell him, is there anybody breathing? And his response was, there's a lot of people breathing on the boat, like 7 people. Now, I've been 18 years old once. I could only imagine after having a few beers and trying to articulate everything accurately. And your boat is freaking sinking at this point. And you're trying to do this while probably trying to act completely sober, because you don't want this lady to know you've been drinking. And in this serious, horrific event, that was just something that I kind of flashed back to when I was 18 on. So anyway, she puts him on hold. She calls whoever's going to tow them. And this guy reveals, hey, I just talked to their grandfather, and he said they don't need help. Apparently, it was the grandfather's boat, and he was the one that was like a member of this organization that takes care of these boats that break down or might be sinking, whatever. I don't have any evidence to back this up, but I would ascertain that they called the grandpa and he knew they had been drinking, and the last thing he wanted was a towboat to go out there and find 7 kids on a boat that are, obviously drunk or drinking, and they get in more trouble than they need to get in. So I'm just spitballing here, but I would assume he told them exactly what I told you happened in episode 1. They pulled the plug, they gunned that boat, and they basically made all the water go out of the back of the boat, and then they stopped and they put the plug back in. But here's the cusp of what we're going to talk about today. And that is what actually happened shortly after that call got released. Apparently an editor / producer for a pretty major company in my world, they started playing with this person started playing with the audio, because what they were trying to determine was what was being said before the dispatcher picked up the call to request a tow. And what this person did was they isolated the 3 audios you hear, which are the audio of the dispatcher, the audio of the background before the dispatcher picks up, and the audio of the music playing that you heard at the beginning. Basically, they separate all this audio in a program to different audios. And I know I'm saying the word audio and I might have lost you already, but it makes sense to me because I do this every day. But they separate all of these different audio voices, and then they enhance the voices in the background using some programs, and they delete the music audio completely out of there. Now, I want to say this first because it's important and because I can speak on it as a professional audio engineer for other podcasts. When you enhance audio, as you use certain programs to remove background noise, and then you take background noise and you enhance it and you try to understand what it actually says, it will have the opposite effect a lot of times. It will actually make it distorted in a way. And it's for that reason that I almost personally never use programs to block out background noise. I just control where I'm recording to where you don't hear background noise, because I have a soundproof booth that I have built into my studio, so I don't have to do that, because the audio sounds garbly when you do that. Now, in this case, not only does this person do that, but they also create their own transcript of what they believe they are hearing when they enhance the audio. And then they had that transcript scroll across the screen as they're playing the enhanced audio. This is what I know of this situation. Now, human nature, when your brain sees something written and you're hearing in your ears what's being said and it sounds similar, you're going to really hear what the person who wrote the transcript wants you to hear, or what they believe they heard, because they sound similar and your eyes are looking at a transcript. Now, I'm not saying any of this was done for nefarious reasons, but when you find out the truth of this in a little while, and I'm going to get to that, you're going to understand exactly why I'm bringing all of this up. Now, that brings me to Nancy Grace, who, man, she took this audio when it came out with the adjusted, if you will, audio, and I'm going to play that for you in a second, but she took that audio and she ran with it. Breaking news, new audio in the Nolan Wells case, you know, with that sensationalized type of voice that she can sometimes have. And look, I am a Nancy Grace fan. I've been a Nancy Grace fan for a long time. Love Nancy Grace, but she's human. And she makes mistakes like all of us do. And I'm going to say up front, there's some questions here, and she kind of ended up with a little bit of egg on her face, in my opinion, after running with this. Now, look, she has a very successful show, tons of producers. I'm sure one of her producers just gave her this audio, didn't give her a whole lot of background on it, and she ran with it. But the problem is she has a huge audience. But I'm going to play some clips of this audio that was released on her show. And this is, keep in mind, the enhanced audio. Listen to this.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
So you heard that, and here's what you supposedly would hear according to the enhanced audio clip. This is the wording that was playing as that clip was being played. Sure, he's dead. Then you hear, is he dead? Then you hear Nolan. Then you hear, oh my God. And then you hear, Nolan, don't die. And then the dispatcher picks up and talks to one of the young men. I didn't play you that part because I already played it for you earlier. Now, with that context of that wording I just said, and I'm going to say it again, sure, he's dead. Then you hear, is he dead? Then you hear Nolan. Then you hear, oh my God. Then you hear, Nolan don't die. So with that context, I want you to listen to it a second time.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Now, I want you to take out all the context in regards to the Nolan Wells case. I want you to just think of this as if it's some guys calling a boating company saying, hey, our boat is sinking. I want you to take out the fact that we know Nolan is now dead and some people were initially looking at these kids and having something to do with it. Take all that context out, and I'm going to play that clip for you a third time.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
So is it possible that they could have been talking about the batteries on the bilge pump being dead or other things to do with the boat that had nothing to do with Nolan Wells? Well, TMZ, shortly after this enhanced audio was released and everybody was running around saying, here it is. You can hear it right here in the audio. They come out with a tidbit of information and they release this. It says, evidence apparently shows Nolan Wells was still on Horn Island when his friend's boat left, TMZ has learned. Sources with direct knowledge of the investigation claim authorities had evidence of Nolan being on the Mississippi Barrier Island after the boat departed on the 4th of July, which would be a huge development. We're told, meaning TMZ, at least 2 witnesses who were interviewed by law enforcement say they saw Nolan on the island after the boat headed to the mainland. That's significant for many reasons. TMZ enhanced the audio of Nolan's friend's frantic call for help when their boat was sinking, and people believe you can hear someone saying, is he dead? But our sources tell us people that were on the actual boat also listened to the audio and are telling people around them the audio is only panic from the boat sinking. No references to Nolan Wells. So TMZ puts that out and everybody's like, holy smokes, there's 2 witnesses out there that have went on record with the police saying they saw Nolan Wells on the island after this boat left. 2 things can't be true there, right? He couldn't have been on the boat dying if he was on the shore hours later after that boat left. But people do what they do. And if they want to see something a certain way, they start trying to poke holes in these witnesses. Hell, I've even seen people actually accuse these 2 witnesses, who nobody knows who these people are outside of the police, of being paid off to say that Nolan was actually on the island when he wasn't. Now, how the hell are they going to know that? How is anybody going to know? Oh, well, he was paid off. How the hell is anybody going to know that? Ain't nobody going to know that. They don't even know who the witnesses are. But one good thing is we live in a generation of video nowadays. And the people at the center of this case, they basically heard all these new accusations of this audio and them saying Nolan don't die and all these things. And they basically said, whoa, not so fast. We have video proof that Nolan was nowhere around or in that boat during the time in which we were making that call, because the boat that was towing them, remember in episode 1, I told you they didn't want to wait for a tow to come because they didn't know when that would be. So they had one of the other boats that was with them tow them and get them out of the, I don't want to say harbor, but out of all the chaos of that island and far enough away where they could focus on pulling that plug and doing all the things they had to do to keep that boat from sinking. Well, the guy that was towing them was filming while the guy on the boat was on the phone with the tow company. And they were getting all this set up and getting ready for him to tow them. And I'm going to reference another TMZ article that came out on that. Headline: Nolan Wells was not aboard towed boat after emergency dispatch call, new video shows. There's new video evidence that Nolan Wells was not aboard his friend's boat when it was being towed from Horn Island, which backs up what two witnesses told law enforcement. Nolan was still on the island after the boat headed home. Never before seen video and photos appear to show Nolan's friends on the boat preparing to be towed back to that mainland without him. There are 7 people on board, and Nolan is not seen in the video, which was obtained by the Officer Tatum show. The footage seemingly confirms what we first reported. Sources with direct knowledge of the investigation told us authorities have evidence of Nolan being on Horn Island after that boat departed on July 4th. Nolan's friends called for a tow, reporting their boat was taking on water due to a failed bilge pump, and we heard audio of their panic call to a private towing service. We enhanced the audio from the call for help, and some people swear they heard someone saying, "Is he dead?" It's not clear if that was ever actually said, and our sources say the people on the boat deny it. In the video, the person standing on the helm, and this is important, appears to be on the phone. Nolan's friends say they told him to get on the boat and leave with them, but he decided to hang back with another woman. Her sister claimed she was under the impression Nolan was leaving the boat and his friends weren't going to leave him behind. The boat was not towed by the private service. Another boat anchored on Horn Island towed Nolan's friends instead, and they say they were eventually able to get the boat working and cruise back to the mainland without Nolan. Nolan's friends say they left Horn Island at 4:30 p.m. and they claim someone told them they saw Nolan at 6 p.m. on the barrier island. As you know, Nolan was reported missing and his body was found July 6th as it washed up on Horn Island near where he was last seen alive. Mississippi authorities say they suspect Nolan drowned, but Nolan's family isn't buying it. They hired famed civil rights attorney Ben Crump and commissioned an independent autopsy, which said Nolan's cause and manner of death were undetermined pending investigation. The results of the initial autopsy conducted by the state medical examiner's office are still pending. And that's the article. So there you have that. Folks, you got 2 witnesses on record statements to police saying they saw Nolan Wells on that island after that boat left. And now we have video proof with this guy actually talking to the dispatcher, and no one is nowhere on the boat or anywhere around it. I've seen this video, but incidentally, in the background of this video, you can see 100 boats in the background. They're still in the harbor, not harbor, but the barrier island area preparing to be towed off. So regardless of what people are being told, no matter what we know now this wasn't the case because of the video proof that we now have. But that's how quick things can get twisted. And then you have someone of Nancy Grace's caliber taking this and running with it with an audience the size that she has. I'm sorry. I think whoever her producer is should have done a little more research, or maybe held off on that till we have more information before putting it out there, because that's how rumors start and that's how the truth gets twisted in people's mind. And I think most people have a genuine honesty in this case. They just want to get to the truth. And look, people make mistakes. Nancy fucked up here, in my opinion. But because that video, coupled with the fact that you got 2 witnesses, that debunks everything in that particular episode that she put out. All of us want to get to the truth. Rumors don't help. Playing with audio doesn't help. This is my opinion. Now, also in this particular episode, Nancy goes on and kind of doubles down on some of these theories. And she actually has the audacity, and this kind of pissed me off because I think this is pretty audacious of her, in my opinion, to say it makes her think that the whole boat sinking story was totally untrue because she heard the audio and she's hearing what some people are saying was said in this video. Now we know now that that was all bullshit, but at the time we didn't. And she goes as far as to say, well, they weren't really sinking. Don't listen to me. Listen to her say it out of her own mouth.
So it doesn't sound to me, Dave Mack, that the boat was sinking, because they're going all over in the boat. So if the boat's not sinking, why the sea tow call? Why the distress call?
Yeah, Nancy, the one thing you have to remember on that first sea tow call, you know, you hear them saying, we're in 30 feet of water, we're sinking, we need to be unsank and towed. But if you follow along with that communication, the sea tow company reaches out to a local captain nearby and says, hey, we've got a boat. Can you go take a look? And the captain nearest to the boat says, hey, I just got a call from the owner of that boat. He says they've resolved the problem and don't need us anymore. So, and this happened during the course of 10 minutes, Nancy. So they're calling for help and then not calling for help. So something was definitely going on with this Triton 21-footer that they cannot explain.
So when Nancy Grace is saying this boat must not have been sinking, in my opinion, to me, that's the exact same thing as saying these kids must have had something to do with Nolan's death. Because why else would you lie about the boat sinking? And folks, that ain't helping. I want the police focusing on the right suspect if there was some foul play here. Don't waste your time focusing on 7 kids or 10 kids or however many that had nothing to do with this. Because if somebody did have something to do with this, they're out there still. Nobody's looking at them, apparently. Now, the problem with this theory, if you will, is that when that video came out and it showed the boat sinking and all these kids running around it with ropes and everything else trying to keep it afloat, is it debunked it completely. And when she reported it, when Nancy reported it, there was no video anybody had of this or that anybody was aware of that I know of. But that's the problem. When you don't have all the information, that's why you have to be real careful of what you accuse people of without having all the information. I'll be curious to see if Nancy issues some sort of apology for being wrong and putting it out there and saying, I made a mistake, and I'll say it again. I'm a Nancy Grace fan, always have been, think she does great work, and none of us are perfect. So I don't think any of that was intentional. But I would like to see her come out and apologize for accusing these kids of lying about their boat sinking. You got to have all the context, folks, to make an educated statement like that. So moving a little bit beyond that, I want to talk a little bit about the toxicology report that has played a really huge piece in this case. Now, many people are wanting to know how drunk Nolan Wells was. He was for sure drinking, and we know that for sure because there are several pictures of him that day with friends, and he's holding like a beer in his hand, some sort of alcohol in his hand. I totally get it. I was 18 once. No problem, whatever. But of course, this doesn't tell you how much he was drinking. Now, witnesses on the boat that were there with him, they say he was drinking pretty heavily. But apparently, you know, some people are struggling to believe anything that these kids on the boat say. So we're going to throw all that out. We're going to assume they never said one way or the other. A toxicology report is going to prove all that, right? Well, actually wrong. In reality, we're never going to know how drunk Nolan Wells was or if he was even drunk at all. And I want to explain to you why. When you die and you go through a decomposition stage, bacteria is going to actually raise your blood alcohol level. So technically, if you've been in the water for a couple of days post-mortem, your blood alcohol level is going to be very high. Even if you don't have any drinks, even not one drink, it's going to look like you were totally plastered. Now, to combat this, many times medical examiners, they're going to use fluid from your eyes rather than your actual blood to measure your alcohol content because it's not as susceptible, if you will, to bacteria as your blood would be. However, with several days having passed since Nolan Wells died, combined with the fact that he was in the ocean for several days, no matter what they do, folks, we'll never know the answer to that question. If that test came out, because they'll test for it, and when it comes out, if it says his blood alcohol content was 0.40, it's meaningless, because technically after 2 days he could have that level and not have even had one drink. That's just facts. But you can test for drug content. It doesn't affect things like marijuana, cocaine, fentanyl, things like that. So while there will never be an answer to the alcohol content or how much he drank outside of what the witnesses are saying, the drug side will be accurate. Pay attention to that sentence I just told you. The drug side of that will be accurate, because there was a bad actor on the island that day. And that's all I'm comfortable with saying at this point. But when that comes out, and I wish these toxicology reports could be faster. I don't understand why we can put someone on the moon in 3 days, or at least fly around one end of it, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get those reports back. I'll never understand that. It is what it is. But when that comes out, pay special attention to the drug content. And I'm going to go ahead and end this update for today, but I want to say this. I want justice for Nolan Wells' family more than anything. And the only way to do that, the only way to get justice, is to speak truth to power. Rumors, innuendo, and bullshit and theories don't help. Truth never changes. Remember that. The truth will always be the truth. And when I see people trying to twist facts, or maybe not even trying, maybe they just had the facts wrong, I consider it my responsibility to set the record straight. And I'm not going to quit doing that. Thank you so much for listening. Check out the Patreon. Commercial-free early releases, bonus episodes, all the things, patreon.com/exposed podcast files. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman. Much love.